Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to Facts and Two Cents. This is Petal. Wherever you are, I hope you are doing well. And as you can see, this episode, we're going to be talking about these two. Yes, I know about the video that came out. Yes, I know that even there, the press is kind of going crazy about it, but even they are questioning why, as I'm assuming most cancer patients are like, we didn't look like that. We weren't running through fields with butterflies and all of this stuff to announce our end of chemo and looking like our hair is just the shiniest and you are the healthiest. I mean, I'm not a cancer patient, but I mean, I have friends who are cancer patients, couple of passed, and but it just is very interesting. And my thing is, look, when the cancer story isn't working anymore, you have to change the narrative, and it seems that's what they're doing. So when even your most ardent supporters in the press are questioning the video and questioning why and, and all of that stuff, you have a problem. And that's the thing. I mean, I look, whatever, my thing is always, it's always best to tell the truth in the beginning, because you don't have to go and try to cover up and change narratives and all of this nonsense. Might be hard and painful in the beginning, but it's always best to tell the truth no matter who you are. So anyways, enough about that. This episode is not about that at all. And so I just wanted to acknowledge, yes, I know what's going on with that mess, but this is something else has been on my mind with these two. And this came out a few weeks ago, and I just haven't had a moment to just talk about it. Or there it is, and I was like, oh, I could, do an episode on this today. And then it's like, I don't really want to talk about it today. Sometimes I'm like that, I'm very much in the moment with things. If I feel like it, I will. If not, it's like, no. But today I'm like, in light of, what's going on with them, I know the British press don't want to talk about these things. They put it out because, yes, they're obligated to put out that the Kensington Palace has put out their financials, but they sort of gloss over it and try to scapegoat Harry and Meghan in some way, so to distract people from what is actually going on in the financials of these two, of the Royal Foundation. And I'm not an accountant. I'm not into all of this financial stuff. A lot of this stuff, reading through this stuff, is so dry that I ate half a pint of vegan ice cream. Yes, I found some vegan ice cream that was really great, and thank God, because I would not have been able to get through this without that vegan ice cream. I didn't need to eat almost the half pint that I had left, but I did because I needed something. I needed help, because I don't know how people read through these things. It is just dull in every sense of the word. But I found some things in there that were interesting, that I thought were interesting for me, that some things I didn't really know or realize, and some things that it just make me go, and I don't even know if I'm thinking about this stuff in the right way. I don't even know if I'm thinking about it correctly, or I'm seeing it as it is, or maybe I'm just misinterpreting completely what it's saying. And again, I'm not an accountant. I don't really go into financial stuff. Even the Sussexes, when I did a couple of episodes on them, but it was more about the organizations that they were donating to, as to the actual finances of their foundation. So, but this time I'm going to go through a little bit of the financials of the Royal Foundation, because there are some things, again, I don't know if I'm seeing it correctly. And if I'm not, there are many of you here who this is your thing. So if I'm not seeing it correctly, please let me know, because I want to understand. And I don't know that I'm understanding this as it should. Again, as I'm not into accounting and all of that stuff, actually suck at math. So, but as I see, just looking through it, one of the big things was, a year ago, the British press especially were screaming about the Sussexes. Their donations had gone down. Meanwhile, the Sussexes explained they just got so much money the year before, they didn't need any more money. They have a surplus of income. And so just looking at the totals here for 2022 and 2023 by comparison, what they took in, their income for 2022 were over 10 million, 10,102,077 pounds. And 2023 was 7 million, 7.9 million. So they went down almost 3 million. Nobody said a word. Nobody said a word about that. They sort of just glossed over it. Whatever they do to get the income coming into the foundation, they were down 3 million and nobody said a word. Again, the Sussexes went down and everybody was like, oh my gosh, nobody's donating to the Sussexes. And yet here they are. They've gone down 3 million and nobody said a word. And of course, some funds are restricted to specific things and some are unrestricted, so at the discretion of the Royal Foundation. So that was one of the things I thought very interesting, that again, if it was the Sussexes, they would be screaming. Another thing that I thought was very interesting is the grants, the amount that the Royal Foundation were donating to the different organizations. And if you read through, again, a lot of it's like 44 pages of very dry information that you're like sucking down ice cream to make your life feel like there's some enjoyment. At least that was my experience. And you look at some of the things and how much they donated to different organizations in 2023. And then, of course, on your right, they have the comparison to how much they donated in 2022. And so when you look down and you realize, like, okay, so they took in 2022 over 10 million, and 2023 over $7 million they took in. And then you look at the amount they donated. If you look at 2022, it looks like, oh, well, they took in 10 million and they donated 7 million. So that's great. But then when you look closer, you look at the Earthshot prize right there in the middle, and I should have highlighted it, but I didn't think about it at the time. 6 million, over 6.5 million, almost 6.6 million went to the Earthshot prize. That's right. So almost 6 million of the 10 million that they took in 2022 went to the Earthshot prize. And the rest of them, you have 117,000 pounds to the first responder. Well, really 147 the first respondents, 97,000 to COVID. Then you go down to the mental health. They donated 13,000. Earthshot is that where got the big deal. They got the over 6.5, close to 6.6 million. And then the other stuff, like the wildlife, only got 150,000. Empowering communities, and if you read through the financials, we'll get to that in a second. That is Meghan's cookbook with the Hub Community Kitchen. They in 2022 they donated 20,000 pounds, and then other donations like Sentibali and stuff. But in 2022, their total donations from that 10 million was 7 million pounds, over 7 million pounds. In 2023, they didn't have the same amount donating to Earthshot Prize. They didn't give out their money yet, I guess, by the time they did these financials. But when you look at the amount of money they took in, as we saw from the previous page, they took in almost 8 million pounds in 2023. But then when you look at the financial, look at how much they actually donated. They only donated 588,275 pounds. And you're like, wait a minute, but you took in over almost 7 million. You only donated, you look at the 2023, the first category there, 87,000 for the first responders, 40,000 to COVID. The mental health, they donated 27,000 pounds to that. early years, like donating stuff to different organizations, 50,000 to early years. And then well child, again, I don't know if this well child is the Prince Harry's well child and how they came to be donating to it. Don't know. I just never understood that one. Or maybe they just give it to well child. I don't know. Earthchild Prize, again, I guess they didn't give out their millions because they are supposed to give out $1 million to each of the organizations that they feature. Wildlife only got 150,000. Empowering Communities, that's from Meghan's cookbook. And the other restricted funds from Princess Diana Fund that goes to Center Valley every year. And again, of the 7 million, they only gave out 588,275 pounds. And you're like, well, what happened to the rest of the money? So that's where this gets interesting, because when you look at where all the money that they got in for 2023 went to, look at what happens. Look at the funding, like we just looked at. Their total funding, this is again just a snapshot of all of the funding to organizations, and then the cost of that they've spent money on, apart from donating that $7.9 million to actual organizations to help people. And this is where it gets interesting again. The amount that they gave out to actual organizations was only $558,275. But then look at the direct costs. The direct costs of whether it's fundraising or whatever else, 5.1 million pounds went to cost. Again, they only gave out 558,000 to actual organizations to help people. But the direct cost of, again, whether it's fundraising and a lot of this supposedly fundraising for these organizations was 5.1 million. And you're like, are you serious? Look at early years. Early years actually gave out 50,521 to whatever organization they gave that to. But the direct cost, which is whether it's fundraising or making those slick videos that Kate made for their Stepping Up program and all of those busy stuff she's doing, the direct cost, 1.9 million pounds. How do you, like, I don't even understand. And of course, part of this direct cost is all of the research studies that she has been doing. And they're doing all of these research and all of this testing of all of this stuff. Again, when this whole thing first came out, when Kate started the early year stuff, one of the big things that organizations who have been in this field forever, and whose organizations, whether it's children programs and all of that stuff around the UK, have been closed by the government because of lack of funding. One of the big things that many of these organizations came out and said, the one thing they don't need is awareness, raising awareness, because they've been raising awareness forever. Everybody is aware already. All the studies have been done already on this stuff. What they need is funds to run the programs to help the actual children. And if you look at what Kate has been doing, is the researches and getting, bringing all of these experts together and all of this stuff around her childhood development programs that she's doing. She's funding all of those things, but she is not putting the money that she is supposedly raised into actual programs that's going to help actual children. Again, the only thing that they've donated was 50,521 pounds. And the busy work that she's been doing with, again, all the videos and the research and all of this stuff that she's been doing has cost almost 2 million pounds. Support costs, as in the staff and the people that she's been bringing in to do all of this stuff, 567,843 pounds. Meanwhile, the kids who she's supposedly here for, and this whole project is supposed to help, only got 50,521 pounds. Like, how do you? And then governess, I guess, for I don't know, that's part of a salary or whatever it is. 45,000 pounds. That almost got more. That almost got the same amount that the actual funding of a program or kids, supporting the kids have gotten. 2.5, and if you look at the total all across there, 2.5 million pounds. Out of the 2.5 million pounds that went towards early years, only 50,000 went to actual donation to an organization that's going to help children. This is craziness. William, if you look down at the the third to last line at the bottom, homelessness. The funding for homelessness, 0 in 2023. The direct costs, where it's like whether it's fundraising or those slick videos, apparently one is supposedly coming out soon about homelessness. We saw him go do this museum thing and all of that stuff and raising funds for homelessness. William has not donated any of that to actual people who are sleeping on the streets. Over 1.5 million went to direct costs, support costs, as in hiring people, staff. Got over 605,000 pounds, governance 50,000. A total of 2.2 million, over 2.2 million pounds went to homelessness, and 0 went to actual homeless people. Like, I don't even, how is this even possible? Like, I don't even understand. This. You literally spent 2.2 million pounds on supposedly fundraising, and staff and governance and all of that stuff, and you have not put 1 cent in to take one person off the streets in 2023. Yet you are the beacon of light for homeless people. Like, I can't even fathom. I cannot even fathom. And you see at the bottom, Sante Bali and Well Child, which were unrestricted funds for Prince Harry. Now I think I understand the Well Child thing. And we'll talk about Prince Harry and how he's involved in all of that in a second. But it is just interesting to me. And you can see the empowering communities. Meghan, that is Meghan's cookbook. Meghan and the ladies at Grenfell's cookbook, that they donated 58,000 pounds in 2023. And direct costs for whatever is 124 pounds. The Wildlife Task Force, over 1.5 million pounds. And only 150,000 pounds went to the funding the actual wildlife task forces. Same thing with mental health. Their pet project, Heads Together, if that's what this is about. They only donated 67,000 pounds. Look at the cost. 327,000 pounds, or 161,000 in salary. And out of the over 568,000 pounds spent on mental health, only over 67,000 pounds went to actual funding of people with mental health issues. I don't understand how this is possible. And if you look at the totals at the bottom, out of the 7.9 million pounds that was the income for the foundation, they literally spent over 7.5 million pounds, that you can see in the last column in the red. And of that 7.5 million pounds that they spent, they only donated 558,275 pounds. How is that possible? They are literally eating up all of those donations on costs, busy work on slick videos and paying in cost to their personnel, and the actual funding of these programs are getting next to nothing. I mean, how do you, like, don't they have trustees and directors and stuff like that who are on the board of the foundation? How don't they see this big discrepancy? Like, am I just crazy looking at this? Again, I'm not a financials person, and so I could be looking at this really, really wrong, and I could be seeing things, but I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is what makes sense in my head. And I'm like, there is such a huge imbalance here. How do you spend over 7.5 million pounds on stuff while only donating 558,275 pounds? Like, I don't understand that. So please, again, tell me if I'm crazy, because I'm like, this is not making sense to me, especially that they have board of directors and trustees and stuff who should be pointing out this big imbalance. And then there is the press. I mean, this is public information. Then there's the press. People who should be holding power to account. Why haven't they been blasting this? Like, wait a minute. You spent 7.5 million pounds and only donated, and or whether it's donating to charity or just giving them grant, whatever, you only donated to charity or gave out for grants $558,275 out of 7.5 million. That's a bit of an issue there for me. And not only that, look at this. And I thought this was very interesting. When you look at it, one of the costs, I guess, as part of those direct costs, was premises where they pay for offices and stuff like that. Why is mental health? Why is there a cost? Don't they work out of Kensington Palace? Why is there a premises and office cost of 38,119 pounds? Doesn't early years work out of Kensington Palace? As far as I remember, they occupy several offices or rooms at Kensington Palace. Why is there 146,385 pounds cost for premises? And how do you explain not donating anything at all to the homeless, but yet paying 164,786 pounds for premises and office costs? Don't they work out of Kensington Palace? I don't know what offices raising, like raising funds. Like, what does that mean? 99,790 for premises and costs for raising funds. Like, what does that mean? Like, did they book another space while you have Kensington Palace there? This massive place where the Cambridges don't really even live in anymore. Don't they have like 1 million rooms in that? Not 1 million, but quite a few rooms in that place. Why are these organizations paying for premises and office costs when they are using? I mean, I can't speak for emergency responders and I cannot speak for wildlife task forces where their spaces are. But early years, Williams Homewood Charity and Heads Together Charities, they are the Wales's organization. Don't they work out of Kensington Palace? And so if they work out of Kensington Palace, why are they paying 38,109, 146,385 pounds and 164,785 pounds for office space when they're working out of Kensington Palace? And look at the cost. 525,925 dollars. This is almost the amount of money they donated just for premises. And if they're paying early years and all of that stuff is at Kensington Palace, and they're paying money towards Kensington Palace, who benefits from that? Who gets that money? Does that money go to William and Kate when their organization are paying for office space at Kensington Palace? Does that money end up in William and Kate's pocket? These are questions that I have. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is not making any sense to me. And look at, I mean, when you look at all of this stuff, 1.5 million for general management and IT, governance, 162,000 pounds. I mean, look at all of this costs. over 2.2 million pounds. Again, their donations was only 558,000. And they spent all of this money that supposedly should be going to fund actual people to benefit from their programs. All of this money is going towards this stuff. And the people they're claiming to support, well, this is craziness. This is absolutely craziness. And the bottom there, I don't even understand what, I read the bottom. Raising funds in the group total 1.1 million, above over 1.1 million, which consisted of over 723,000 pounds of direct funding costs and over 415,000 of support and governance costs, whatever that means. I'm just looking at these numbers and it's like, this is not adding up for me. And again, I'm not a accountant, so I could be wrong and seeing this all wrong. Please let me know. It's just things that made me go, this is not adding up for me. And so one of the things that also is just very interesting to me is what these organizations are about. And reading through, again, the very dense and dry material, this is some of the things that I got. The Early Years program incurred the highest expenditure, again, the highest expenditure, 2.6 million pounds. In 2022, it was 1.8 million. As following investments in the Center for Early Childhood team and increasing activity following the Shaping Up campaign launched in January 2023. Communications, marketing, events costs. This is where the money went to. Communication, marketing, events costs reflect the activation around the campaign and the subsequent Shaping Up symposium, with grant expenditure incurred in relations to the health visitor trial and research projects. That's where the majority of that money went to. All of this research and trial stuff, and very little going towards actual kids who were supposedly the ones who are supposed to benefit from her program. Following the public launch of Homewards in June, spend on homelessness grew significantly. 2023, 2.2 million pounds. 2022, £500,000. This reflects increased staff costs as a dedicated Homeward team was built, as well as investing in evaluation measurements to support the development of the program over the coming years. Yep, that's where all of that money went to. Not 1 cent went to actual homeless person on the street or to take a homeless person off the street. Zero, zilch, nothing. United for Wildlife continued to ramp up activities overseas, including the establishment of the regional chapter network across 4 continents and a global summit held in Singapore to coincide with Earthshot Prize Award ceremony, which saw program expenditure growing from 1.3 million in 2022 to 1.6 million in 2023. That's where all the money went to. Not actually doing anything on the ground. It went to establishing other things and spending money on the big award ceremony and all of that stuff. I just, again, it's just me looking at this and be like, is this about people? Is this about animals? Is what is this about? Is this about the earth? What is this about? And again, it's about communication, marketing, doing events, and not actual helping people underground. And a little bit about how Prince Harry is involved in all this is, and I'm going to read this a little bit from Princess Diana. This is a part from when Prince Harry was a part of the Royal Foundation. As we know, it was William and Harry, and then William married Kate, and then so all 3 of them. And then when after Meghan came in, they all disbanded, and Harry and Meghan went their separate ways. So this is what happens. It says with the Diana, Princess of Wales Memorial Fund. with effect from April 1st, 2013, the Royal Foundation took over legal control of the Diana, Princess of Wales Memorial Fund in order to safeguard both the fund's name and any further income donated to the fund in the future. The Royal Foundation has not continued the fund grant making or charity activities. So, how does Prince Harry become a part of this? And so, just a little bit of how Prince Harry is a part of this whole thing. And my arrow went off kilter there. So, the only part I'm going to read is at the bottom where it says, one paragraph from the bottom. It says, on June 17th, 2020, in accordance with the request from the Duke of Sussex, the trustee approved the donation of 50% of future net income backdated from the 18th of December 2019, received by the Diana, Princess of Wales Memorial Fund to Sentebale, a UK registered charity of which the Duke of Sussex is patron. During the year, donation of £7,073, £5,918 from 2022 were paid to Sentebale. So how did Prince Harry is involved? Because, Princess Diana, both him and William owns that, they each get 50% of that trust. And Harry asked for his half, his 50%, and the trustees approved Prince Harry's 50% of the Diana, Princess of Wales Memorial Trust. Any donations come into that, he gets 50%, and he is asked for his 50% to be donated to Sentebale. How does Well Child come into that? I'm believing that from this, Harry has split it and have some of it going to Sentebale and some of it going to Well Child. And so that's how we have Well Child under the Diana, Princess of Wales Memorial Fund donating to Well Child and also to Sentebale. And a little thing that I noticed in there's that underlined part, one of the things online, you come across a lot of derangers saying some very stupid things. And one of the very stupid things I've come across with this is a bunch of derangers attacking the Sussexes for registering their non-for-profit Archwell in the state of Delaware. And which is, I'm like, these people cannot be Americans saying such stupid things, because there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of companies registered in Delaware, including a lot of the tabloids who have U.S. outlets like the Daily Mail and the Sun. All of their U.S.-based things are all registered in Delaware. But for some crazy thing, they are attacking the Sussexes for registering Archwell in Delaware, which thousands of companies. There is nothing wrong with registering in Delaware. I think it's just easier and maybe less money you have to pay or whatever. I don't even remember what the whole thing is with Delaware, but there's nothing illegal about registering Delaware. Because there's nothing illegal about it, but for some reason they have it in their head, because Harry and Meghan live in California, that their company is registered in Delaware. And it's just like, yeah, you can do that, and there's nothing illegal about that. It's totally fine. But one of the things that I came across with this from reading is this: the American Friends, which is the American Friends of the Royal Foundation, as you can see at the top, American Friends of the Royal Foundation of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge Incorporated. So this is part of the financial. It says the American Friends is a 501c3 entity registered in the state of Delaware, U.S. And so, of course, the American Friends of the Royal Foundation is pretty much there they want American money. Whenever you see royals come to America, it's because they come here to fundraise. They look down on Americans, but they definitely gobble up American money. This is what they do. And it's just, as you can see, that the Royal Foundation received $1.6 million from the American Friends of the Royal Foundation, and in 2022 they got over £3 million from that. And it's just, but it's very funny because, again, the people who go on about being registered in Delaware, They obviously have no idea about how American businesses work or American charities work. They see the Sussexes doing something and they just automatically assume, oh my God, it's wrong, it's against protocol, they're committing a crime, or whatever nonsense they come up with. Not realizing that the people that they're supporting, the Royal Foundation, also have the American Friends of the Royal Foundation, which is again a part of the Royal Foundation, just the American chapter, also registered in Delaware. And as you can see at the bottom again, they are basically raising American money to give to the Royal Foundation, to give to William and Kate's Foundation. It's just things that make you go, interesting. But a little bit about our fave, and we saw the part of the financials is the empowering communities, and it says at the top, it says empowering communities relates to the Duchess of Sussex Empowering Communities Through Food program, funded by the income received from sales of the Together cookbook published in 2018. Funds are being donated to Felix Project in accordance with the wishes of the Duchess of Sussex. So again, as you can see in green, in 2022, they received the income they received was $23,000 from the book sales, and right next to that on the right you can see what they gave, what they donated to the Felix Project was £20,778. They had a reserve of £2,309, and 2023 at the bottom they had the surplus of £2,009, and then the income for 2023 shot up to £84,540. And of that, right next to that, you can see where they donated £58,821 pounds from the 84. Now they have a reserve of over £28,000. And so our faves, I'm telling you, people are still buying the book. Now the funds are going off to the Felix house. Again, this is the Felix Project. It's a project that feeds the homeless and people in need, that Meghan was connected with them since she was in Suits in Canada. So she used to donate food and stuff from Suits and go and volunteer there on her off time from Suits. And so I'm assuming they have a chapter in the UK, and so she has transferred the money to go to the Felix Project. I don't know, again, as I mentioned in a past episode, I don't know if the Hub Community Kitchen is going. I know a lot of the ladies, they now have their own businesses and they are doing great. So I don't know if the Hub Community Kitchen is disbanded and everybody's gone their separate ways. I know they were still cooking and serving the communities during COVID. So I don't know what has happened there, but the money is now going to the Felix Project to help feed the poor. And so great, fantastic. Of this whole looking through this whole thing, that is the only thing that has been a positive. Our face, if it wasn't for Meghan, is the only redeeming thing on this whole thing. Looking at this thing, the only redeeming thing here. It's like, are you serious? When you look at all of the others and you see what those expenditures are, it's just like, yikes. The amount that is spent on these projects so far outweighs the amount that they are actually giving back and giving to actual people on the ground. It is alarming. And my thing again is, my goodness, you have board of directors, you have trustees, you have all of these people who are part of this organization. Shouldn't someone raise a red flag and say, like, I think there's a big imbalance here? And so it just, I'm like, something isn't going right here. And another thing that stood out to me under United Wildlife is what I underlined. It says, with support from the British Embassy in Bogota, as in Bogota, Colombia, where Harry and Meghan were just, United for Wildlife's 7th regional chapter, Latin America, was launched in Colombia in July. That's right. In July 2023, last year, they launched a chapter of United for Wildlife in Colombia. Funny how nobody in the UK had any problem with this or mentioned. I mean, I don't know if they mentioned it, but nobody had a problem with this. No one. Last year, when William launched this in Colombia, no one had a problem with this. Only when Harry and Meghan go to Colombia. And it's funny watching the royal family. Again, Sophie was in Colombia in 2023, November 23. Nobody had a problem with it. Charles and Camilla was in Colombia. I think it was 2012 or 2013. Nobody had a problem with it. Only when Harry and Meghan go there, they all of a sudden, they have a problem with Colombia. Very interesting to me. And again, just things that make you go, And another thing that makes you go, is the Royal Foundation recognizes the Urquhart Prize as an associate, reflecting the continued close relationship between the two entities. Yeah, William owned both, As part of the founding documents of the Urquhart Prize, the trustees of the Royal Foundation are entitled to nominate at least 1/3 of the Urquhart Prize board, as well as the Royal Foundation being a member of the Urquhart Prize. As such, there are currently 3 foundation trustees sitting on the board of the Urquhart Prize. And those foundation trustees that are still there, David Fine. And yes, that one in the photo, Jason Knopf. Yes, Jason Knopf. No, not only is he a trustee of the Royal Foundation, he's also on the board of Urquhart Prize. That's right. Unbelievable. So that's right. Jason Knopf is still there, both with the Royal Foundation and with Urquhart Prize. I'm telling you, after all the damage this man has done, yep, he is still there with William. Unbelievable. Yes. Things that make you go, And just finally, a little bit more about what these programs are really about. I'm only going to read the underlined parts. It says the program, which is William's, his lifelong program of tackling homelessness. It says the program is also working to change the narrative around homelessness. Independent research conducted on behalf of the foundation shows that 3 in 10 members of the public incorrectly thinks that street homelessness is more common than any other types of homelessness, and 7 in 10 don't know that what's being done to help homeless in the UK. A multi-billionaire with all of these homes is telling people in the UK, many of them who are homeless, how to think. And it's like, many of them, 7 in 10, don't know what is being done to help the homeless. Geez, I wonder why they don't know that. Maybe because nothing is being done. Because if I'm homeless and nobody is doing anything, then yeah. If they were doing something, I wouldn't be homeless. And then I would know what you're doing, right? Isn't that? And the program also worked to shape the narrative around homelessness. Homelessness is not about a narrative. This is the problem with all of this, with what William has been doing and spending all that money on, making slick videos about homelessness. And how many of them are going to benefit from that museum gallery thing that you just did? For him, it's about a narrative, as opposed to people on the street need a home today. They need food today. They need a place to stay tonight. And other things that was very interesting to me is like the location, each location, what he did was, he did all those 6 separate locations where that he spent that day going to all these locations. Most of them, nobody showed up to greet him. Yeah. So of these 6 locations, this is what is happening. Each location will deliver an innovating housing project that will test new ways to access and scale housing. In addition, the foundation has established the Homeward Fund, a fund of £3 million, with each location can apply for a grant funding to use to unlock scalable solutions. So William isn't coming up with any solutions to housing or homelessness. He isn't coming up. What he's done, he put 6 group of people in 6 different areas in the UK, and those groups have to come up with ways to solve homelessness. And then he created a fund of £3 million. As you know, it only takes £3 million to end homelessness forever. Yes, according to William. And he's not giving this out to the different groups. They have to apply for a fund. So there is a chance that they can get turned down for funding from these places. So they have to come out. So he's literally not doing anything. He's just the face of this homeless project. This multi-millionaire with about 6 homes by now. No, at least I know about 3 or 4 of them. And all kinds of palaces that he can just go hang out in, is the face of homelessness. A homelessness that we talked about earlier that donated 0 amount of money in last year, 0, to actual people who needs a home. To actual people who needs a place to stay tonight, who needs food to feed their family tonight. He is the face of that. It goes on to say, highlight of the year include the launch of Homeward, the foundation's transformative 5-year program that aims to demonstrate it is possible to end homelessness. That's right. That's what they're there for. It is possible. Well, great. A lot of things are possible. Doesn't mean you're doing anything. That's the goal. It is possible to end it. It's not donating to one of your castles or one of your homes, turning all the property and land, or building homes, whether it's tiny homes or whatever, to get people off the street. None of that. It's about this narrative of, oh, yes, it's possible. Yes, a lot of things are possible. It's possible I could go to the moon, but it doesn't mean I'm going to go there. It's possible that I could win $1 billion right now. Doesn't mean I'm going to win $1 billion. A million things are possible. Doesn't mean I'm going to be doing it. And this is the problem. This is how you spend millions of dollars doing stuff and actually doing nothing to help actual people who need your help. It goes on to say, at the bottom, talking about Kate Shaping Up program, which is the early childhood busy stuff that she's been doing. It says, Shaping Us is a long-term program that aims to, again, raise awareness of the unique importance of early childhood development by changing and informing public perception around the issue. Not helping kids get clothes tomorrow, not helping companies, and not really focusing on helping people and parents get a living wage so that they don't have to go to the food bank to feed their kids or go to some charity to get clothes for their kids. Not donating money to actual programs like after-school programs to help out parents who are at work. Not donating money to preschool to help them to stay open. All the things that you can use money. None of those things. That's how you have this little bit of money going towards actual donating to programs, and all of this how many millions she has donated to research and all of these busy stuff and slick videos. That's how you come up with this mess. And you have these two as the face of programs that they're not really helping. Nobody needs awareness of early. Everybody knows that early years is important. Everybody knows what homelessness is. These two being the face of this is a joke. This is not about helping people. This is about helping their image. And this is the horrendous part about this. And the thing about it is, I am not rooting against them. I want this to work, because if this works, I want them to be successful, because they have the money, they have the resources, they have the land, they have the connections, they have everything to make these things work. But then this stuff, the way they're doing it, is not about the people who actually need help. This is about them getting attention for doing busy work, as one of those bloggers put it. They just call it busy work. That is not helping anybody. How do you go a whole year with spending over $1 million or $2 million and something and not donate to the one homeless person? I don't even understand that. How do you do that? It is craziness. How do you spend all of this money on research and only donate like 50,000 or what is that, 50 or 100,000, whatever, to actual organization that is helping kids? Like, how do you spend all that money for office costs when the office cost is at Kensington? The office is at Kensington Palace, where you run. Where's that money going to? Who is pocketing that money? And so that's why I'm like, I'm reading through this thing. I was like, are you serious? And again, I'm not an accountant. Maybe I haven't seen this correctly as it needs to be seen. So y'all can tell me if I'm wrong in the way I'm looking at this. But that's what I see. And that's one of the things that made me go, And that made me angry. And that made me like, what? And then it was like, what on earth? And then I get really frustrated again. The press that should be holding these people to account and holding their feet to the fire for the nonsense that they do, sit there and like, oh, well, Harry and Meghan, what are you doing? And let's go to Montecito and harass you or go stalking you instead of paying attention to this mess. And this is why year after year, this mess is there. And they accomplish nothing while making slick videos to compete with people who are actually donating to organizations that are actually doing something. It's unbelievable to me. So anyway, that's what I got out of this mess. I don't know. Again, y'all can put in the comments if I'm completely wrong. Correct me where I'm, if I've said something that is like, oh, wait, Petal, that's not what that means. Please, please, please let me know. Please put in the comments because I want to know where I'm wrong and correct. And I will, again, on another episode, correct any areas that you see where I'm wrong. And so that way everyone get the correct information. So anyway, that's it. Thank you so much to our awesome moderators, Lydia, Church, Nelly, Karen M, Cookies and Cream, Black Queen. You are awesome. Thank you so much for, as usual, helping us to keep this space safe. And thank you to our awesome 2 Cents crew who support the channel on a monthly basis. And for all of you who support in the chat, donating in the chat. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And anyways, I love you all, and I will chat with you next time. Bye.